Well, good evening and welcome to October from wherever you are. Out here in Vancouver, fall has definitely come to us and the trees are starting to change. It's a beautiful time of year. So very excited to do this very first in a series, and we're going to do this often, where we'll feature someone who's had a great and terrific experience with the Modexus product. And then we'll talk about why that happened and what other things we can expect in that regard. So tonight, we want to bring Biel up beside me here on the screen. Christian, if you can do that.
Split screen us. You're good to go.
Oh, okay. I just can't see him. That's okay. Well, Al and I don't think we should count the years and how long we've known each other. That would be a math calculation neither of us probably want to go through. So we have known each other for a long time. We met over glutathione many years ago. That's the reason we met. And just recently we connected again. So we hadn't been connected for a while, except to be friends and we could communicate. But you've had a terrific experience just in the last few months with a product called Lonicera Longevity. So would you mind just sharing that story with us, Al? And then I'll take it from there and we'll pick up on what I'm going to do is just talk about the evolution of glutathione, the products that are kind of available, and why you maybe got the results from this one and maybe didn't get it from other ones, and what people can expect. So Al, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, thanks, Alan. I'll start it. About 15 years ago, I was having a few health challenges, and we got involved with a company that provided a scientifically proven precursor to glutathione, and that seemed to be helping quite a bit. About 7 years ago, I was diagnosed with ITP, which basically means I have an extremely low platelet count. It was the autoimmune disease, so where my antibodies eat my platelets, and so they determined that. And the only treatment that they could give me was prednisone, which doesn't work. They offered to take out my spleen. And I said no thanks. And there was another treatment called IVIG, which basically is a blood plasma product that they have lots of other people's antibodies in there. And they pumped that into me a couple of times, but they quit that treatment. And that would raise my platelet count up. And so then, about 2 years ago, Lois and I were both diagnosed with Lyme disease. So that complicated things a little bit further. And about shortly thereafter, when we figured we got the Lyme disease about 15 years ago, and that's what probably brought on the ITP. But so about 2 years ago, I started to have these, nosebleeds with a lot of mucus or snot coming out here. And it would maybe started out with lasting maybe for 4 hours. And then, 6 months later, I'd have another one, might last a little longer. And then the period got shorter and shorter between my nosebleeds. And then this past June, it got extremely bad, where basically it was happening every day. Sometimes I'd have nosebleeds for sometimes up to 36 hours, couldn't get any sleep because I had the blood and the mucus coming down, couldn't sleep because, well, it's pretty tough to sleep when you got that happening. And I had family members that would encourage me to go to the hospital, but I knew from my family doctor that and the specialist that there really was no treatment for me. So fortunately, Lois contacted you, Alan, and you fortunately sent us some of this Lonicera Longevity. And within about 2 to 3 days, maybe 4, I can't remember, because I was pretty sick. My cousin Linda, or Lois's cousin Linda, who happens to be a retired nurse, was here at the time, and she thought I was she thought I was in deathbed. I was gray. I could hardly move about 15 to 20 feet, and I was exhausted. My heart be beating 180 beats per minute, and I'd have to catch my breath. And so when I got the Lonicera Longevity, about I think within a couple of days, maybe 4 days, I don't know, can't remember. I was in pretty rough shape, and we weren't counting things. We were just thankful and grateful to try something. And basically my bleeding stopped. And then it still took me time to recover, because I think what happened was I had lost so much blood, but basically it was the low iron content that caused me my arrhythmia and everything else that was going on. And slowly, as the time went on, I was able to get my energy back. And right now, I'm feeling the best I've felt in probably a year. Of all the energy I need, and so I'm just thankful and grateful for longevity, because I haven't had nosebleed since then, and that's all, So that's what got us interested into the product, and go, wow, this is awesome. We got to look into this.
You made a very interesting comment there, and thank you for your story. But you made an interesting comment in when it comes to immunodeficiency diseases, and there's many. I don't even know if we could name them all. There really is no treatment, and I think a lot of people that I come in contact with, that's their challenge, is that they have an immune system dysfunction, which the medical established protocols don't address. So I come from the pharmacy world, and we're very good at stopping your immune system. You think of chemotherapy, for instance. Chemotherapy has a dramatic sort of impact in reducing your immune function, to try and kill the cancer. It's really killing you at the same time. We hope you survive. We're very good at stopping the immune function from working, but we're not very good at stimulating it or helping it do its best function. So I think at the root cause of this. So when I started looking for myself, because I had a situation that wasn't treatable. I was on 13 medications at one time and was just getting worse and worse. And that's what led me to, as a pharmacist, to step outside of the medical protocols and start looking for something else that would, enable me to have a better lifestyle and more life. And so that's, led me down this course. And I got to go to McGill, and I learned a lot at McGill. I was told when I was at McGill that the product they make there, which is a very good product, that they were the first in the world. Now, I have since learned that that's not true. I actually got to work with the person named Dr. Albert B. Crum. And Dr. Albert Crum, who's now in his 90s and he's not active any longer, but Dr. Crum actually had developed a whey protein isolate years ago and patented that. And how Dr. Crum actually got into that business is that his best friend was a veterinarian, and he came to Dr. Crum and he said, "Listen, if calves don't get glutathione in the first 8 hours, they die. And could you figure this out? What's going on there?" And so they started looking at milk right from the teat of the cow, and they found that there was certain things in that, albumins and things that are absolutely necessary for the functioning and development of our immune system, and they're only there in the first few feedings. And once they're gone, they're gone. And then they found out, well, that's the same with humans. If we're not breastfed, now we get colostrum, and so we get the colostrum, which contains these things that help us develop our immune system. And so as I went down this sort of trail here and began to understand glutathione. Now, glutathione is not taught in medical school. It's not taught in pharmacy school. And recently I talked to a graduate of a nutrition program here in Vancouver, and they brushed over glutathione like it was just something that was in your body and you couldn't really do anything about it. But it was very necessary. And a few years ago, I was at a brain conference here in Vancouver with 13 notable speakers, Dr. Daniel Aman, Dr. Buttar. There was, and 11 of the 13 actually said you should optimize your glutathione. Even if you're a healthy person, you should optimize your glutathione. And they gave the reasons for that. And the reason for that is as we grow older, our liver actually slows down the recycling of our glutathione. And that's why we kind of tend to get more ill as we get older, is our liver function actually goes down. So they said if you optimize glutathione, it will help keep your liver functioning, and that would increase your immune response. So 11 of the 13 actually said we should optimize glutathione, but they didn't say how. And so I started looking, at, okay, what has been developed over the years? Now, in research, we use a specific drug called N-acetylcysteine, and I'm sure lots of people have heard about N-acetylcysteine. It's NAC, that's its name. Actually, it is a Schedule II drug in Canada. Despite the fact you can buy it at most health food stores, it should legally be sold from behind the counter in pharmacies. But NAC was, it's a research drug. So what they did with NAC is they needed something that had timelines, that they could say, okay, we're going to put this in the cell, we're going to put this in a petri dish, we're going to put this in something, and we want to see the activity. And we know that with N-acetylcysteine, it has a certain time where it's good, and then it's used up and it's gone. And so it was a research product, and then in the 1980s, it was deregulated and made available to the general public without too much fanfare. It did have guidelines, though. You should only use it for 6 weeks. And it's really, its specific use in the medical community is for people who have a failing liver. So if you have an alcoholic that has been hospitalized due to the alcoholism and their liver's failing, you can bolus dose with N-acetylcysteine. It's a life-saving measure. It was never meant for the broad consumption that we have in the community today and the availability of that product. It is a drug. It's actually made from chicken feathers. It goes through an extreme chemical process to draw an amino acid called cysteine out of that to make that drug. So I learned that glutathione is actually made of 3 amino acids, cysteine being the rate-limiting amino acid, because humans, for some reason, we don't have a very efficient transport mechanism in our intestinal tract to get cysteine into our blood. Now, why that is that way, but that's the way it is. And so, that's why they had to make a drug to do all these experiments and then try to find things that had either some kind of organic molecule, and they still don't know in the whey protein exactly what it is that's getting the amino acids across the intestinal tract. But nonetheless, that has proven to be good over time. Then they discovered, Dr. Crum discovered that, well, you could just take the amino acids of cysteine, glycine, and glutamate, and as long as you would put a trigger molecule in there, so you needed something that would trigger the enzymes, because glutathione production is actually genetically controlled in our body. In other words, you can never overdo your glutathione production. So you can take lots of supplements, but if you don't need them, your body is going to use those amino acids, and what it doesn't need, it's just going to flush out. So you cannot over boost your immune system if you're doing it in a natural method. If you're using amino acids and even the trigger molecule, it's just impossible. Our cells are genetically programmed to make a certain amount of glutathione for themselves, and then they overproduce and they actually put that out into the bloodstream. And so any excess is used elsewhere or just flushed out. So that was my first introduction, was this whey protein isolate, which was good. And then I got this other product, which is just amino acids and a trigger molecule. And then I got to attend a world symposium on glutathione that was in 2018. It was held in New York. And I got to meet all these incredible scientists that have spent their life 35, 40 years or longer learning about glutathione and why it's so important. And, glutathione is actually coincident with life. You can't live without glutathione. And as a matter of fact, if we had a way to measure your glutathione activity in your body, which we don't have a convenient way to do that, but if we could actually give you a predictor. You mentioned that you were feeling very ill and your sister-in-law there or thought you were going to die. And if we measured you glutathione, we'd probably find, in spite of you taking that product, there was some reason, either your cells weren't responding or the lipids weren't correct at the cellular level to take those amino acids and make glutathione. There was something going on there that you weren't utilizing that product. And so over the years, people have done other things and made other products. They put liposomal glutathione together. Liposomal glutathione, as it turns out, that's if you go to a naturopath and they say, let's do an IV of glutathione, or let's do a inhalation with glutathione, they're actually using liposomal glutathione. So that's a glutathione molecule that's actually attached to some fat. So it will cross membranes. It will cross fatty membranes. So your cellular membrane, it will cross and it'll get into the cell. The thing about liposomal glutathione, or any glutathione that's made outside our body, it's not our glutathione. So Al, your glutathione is Al Biel's glutathione. My glutathione is Alan Ogden's glutathione. It's actually individual to us and our experiences in life. The production, the capture, everything about glutathione is very individual to that person.
Oh,
so
I'll put it back. Oh no. Oh, what?
So if you take it from outside somewhere and you put it into the body, your body doesn't recognize that, but it will take it apart inside the cell and hopefully will utilize those amino acids and make some glutathione from it. So liposomal glutathione actually turns out to be a better trigger molecule if you use it as a trigger molecule. You use it in small amounts as a trigger molecule. And then recently there's been a lot of nanotechnology has been introduced to many different things. And lots of people don't understand nanotechnology. So this nanotechnology is just a broad name for a big, wide range of research. We use nanotechnology in surgery. It's constantly used there. We use it in many applications. So when we are using, say, with a supplement, we're using nanotechnology as a supplement. That nanotechnology is made out of either a fat, which has been treated in such a way that it's very, very tiny, tiny, tiny molecule. It's actually called an apolipoprotein molecule. It's a very tiny fat molecule, and you can attach something to that. And the reason they do that is because it will penetrate, once again, it'll penetrate into the cellular membrane. There's a product that you can take a tablespoon and swish it around in your mouth, and hopefully that will give you some glutathione. The challenge with nanoparticles is they're non-specific. They go everywhere in the body, and so they're not targeted to specifically making glutathione. And so what we wanted to do, and this is the longevity story, is we wanted to come up with a product that had a trigger molecule. For starters, we wanted that trigger molecule because our recent research, and there's lots of research in the National Institute of Health, but the recent research has shown us that not only is cysteine, the amino acid, rate limiting in the fact that we can't get it from our food, and it's abundant in our food. That's the amazing thing. It's abundant. Like, it's abundant in meat. It's abundant in dairy. It's an abundant amino acid, but we can't get it into our body. So we have to kind of fool our body to do that. And so we wanted to put this product together. We wanted to supply the amino acids, because if you can get the amino acids to the cell actually is genetically programmed to once cysteine comes in contact with a receptor site on a cell membrane, it automatically triggers an enzyme to add glutamate, and that makes glutamalcystyl synthetase. And then once you have that glutamalcystyl synthetase, that triggers another immune response or enzymatic response called glutathione synthetase. It adds glycine and you get glutathione. So that has to be triggered. That enzymatic process has to be triggered as well. So in your case, people that are taking a supplement where they're getting just the amino acid, quite often it's the cellular membrane that's not responding. So the amino acids are floating around, they're doing other things, and if your body doesn't need them, they're flushed away. So we wanted to overcome that, make sure that we put a product together where we knew there was a trigger molecule, we provide the amino acids, and we provide them in different forms. So we have a highly absorbable form of glycine called trimethylglycine. So that's an amino acid that's already in the form that your body uses. Every amino acid that comes into our body has to be methylated. And so we just use trimethylglycine because it's really quickly absorbed. and it's a very tiny molecule and gets to the cell membrane really quick. So we use that. Glutamate is the other molecule. Glutamate is abundant in our food, and we don't have any problems absorbing it at all. It's there. It's almost in all of our food. Now, glutamate can be an excitatory amino acid in people that have like ADHD or focus problems. And so that's why we put the Lonicera berry in there. So just don't let me forget to mention that process. But so we have the amino acids, and then we put some cetria glutathione. So cetria is a liposomal glutathione. We put it in a small amount, and that's a trigger molecule. So that combination then assures us when you take those capsules, number one, it gets across the intestinal tract. Number two, it gets to the cell membrane. And the amino acids, once they're there, your cell membrane is triggered. So this is just following what genetics does. This follows what your genetics would program your body to do. So those people who have a lot of glutathione, your glutathione is being recycled by your liver. This is the exact process by which you make glutathione every day, and we all make glutathione. So we thought, well, if we can follow what nature does, then there's no roadblocks to this. And so that's why we put that together. Now, glutamate can be excitatory. So we wanted to put something in there. We used the Lonicera berry because research has shown us. So Lonicera berry is native to Canada. Dalhousie University has done a lot of research on the Lonicera. Some people might know it as a Haskap berry or a huckleberry. It's from the huckleberry family. Lonicera berry is very, very rich. So there's 15 kinds of Lonicera berries, and we use a blend of them to get what we want, which is we want a calming effect on the cellular membrane. So glutamate doesn't have that excitatory effect, but it also, the Lonicera berry has many other properties. So it helps in reducing inflammation in our cardiovascular system. So it helps in getting the amino acids and the other, the trigger molecule. It helps getting it around the body. It has many other functions. We could do a whole session just on the Lonicera berry itself, and maybe we should do that sometime. So we put that together, and we put some vitamin D in there, and we put some B vitamins because B vitamins are involved in energy-producing processes, and we put some milk thistle in the Lonicera Longevity. And milk thistle has been used for years and years. Some people might know it as silymarin. It's been used for years and years because it does help your liver function. So let's say you're somebody that's been, you've had a lot of pain, arthritis pain, and you've taken a lot of ibuprofen. Now, with every ibuprofen you take, it has to be processed in the liver and deactivated and excreted and so on. And so if you take one of that, actually the glutathione in your liver is responsible then for detoxifying the livers, for taking the leftover of any drug that you take, any toxic metal, anything that's toxic that goes through our body. Glutathione is actually responsible for getting it out of the body. So if you're taking a lot of drugs, your glutathione, instead of working with your immune system, is now occupied in this detoxification process. So we put milk thistle in there because milk thistle is known to actually increase our liver's ability to just overall function by 15, 20, maybe even 25%. So you get a great increase just in liver function. So that's why we put this product together. It was kind of the best of all the sciences out there. So we started looking at whey protein isolates first. Whey protein isolates are effective in a lot of people, but over time they can lose their effectiveness because of the inactivity at the cell membrane. It's not really the amino acids that's a challenge there. It's now become the cell membrane is a challenge. So it's still the best way for your body to make, if we can trigger this genetic sequencing in our body, it's still the best way to make glutathione, because if the cell's making it, then it's Al Biel's glutathione. And if I'm taking a product, it's Alan Ogden's glutathione. It's not a glutathione that comes from outside the body. And by the way, if people are taking a glutathione capsule, the effectiveness of those are very, very low. The absorption rate is only maximum about 11%. So if you're taking a 500 milligram capsule, it's maybe 50 milligrams. And research has shown, and this is one of the challenges with some of these nanoparticles, they're very low dosage wise. So research has shown us that we need about 200 milligrams of cysteine to actually trigger an immunological response. And many of the nano products are very, because they want them to be small, so they're very low in ingredient dosages. And so we don't really know the outcomes. There's no research backing up the nanoparticles' effectiveness in actually utilizing or manufacturing glutathione. So we wanted to take the science that we knew that was good in amino acid. We also want to take the science that we knew was good for triggering the enzymatic process at the cell membrane. And then we wanted to support the body, the liver, the cardiovascular system, the other body systems that are necessary for getting glutathione around our body. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention is, and this is really important for people that are getting older and also for kids, we with focused challenges, we want to get glutathione or whatever we want to get it into the brain. And this is an area that has had a lot of research. So over time, one of the challenges with N-acetylcysteine, the drug, is it has very, very low uptake in your brain. So you have to take extremely high dosages of it to get any into your brain. And here's the important thing about glutathione in your brain. Glutathione is responsible for reducing oxidative stress. And what causes oxidative stress in your brain? Stress. It's called oxidative stress for a reason. So stress, because it raises your hormones to ultra high levels, and those are damaging to your brain. They can be very damaging. So we want to reduce. It's the byproduct of trying to get rid of those hormones that releases the oxygen, the free radicals that is damaging. So we want to reduce that, and glutathione is responsible for that. And when we get these amino acids and that trigger molecule, when we get it into the brain of these of people that have focused challenges, and it reduces the oxidative stress there, what happens is the brain responds by producing something called sphingolipids. And sphingolipids are the messenger molecules that actually balance out your hormone production in your brain, increase serotonin, increase dopamine, or reduce whatever needs to happen there. They're the messenger molecules, and they also have a specific activity in repairing myelin sheath. That's the covering of the nerves. And it wasn't known, we didn't know for years and years. When people had nerve damage, we thought, oh, well, you just have to suffer with it. Well, now we know that if we start optimizing glutathione, we can actually trigger these sphingolipids. They're throughout the whole body, but specifically in the brain. We can trigger the production of sphingolipids, which can actually repair myelin sheaths. So people that have things like peripheral neuropathy, pain that's just really difficult to take in their extremities from diabetes, one of the things we want to do with those people is increase glutathione consumption. So how much glutathione should you take a day? And I'm going to stop and let you ask some questions here in a minute, but I just wanted to get this. How much glutathione should you take in a day? And research has shown that we utilize about 1 gram of glutathione a day. We have about 10 grams in our body. So it's stored in different places. We have it in our skin, we have it in our eyes, we have it in our lungs, and we have it in our liver. So if you think about those places, where are we likely to get something into our body? Well, it can come easily through our skin. Our skin is the largest organ of the body. It's also it's just as important in detoxing our body as the kidneys are. Lots of things go out through our skin. And just at night when we're laying in bed and just breathing and water's coming out off of our body through our skin, we lose about 1 liter of water overnight just through our skin and breathing. So we want to replace that with water the next day. So our eyes, if something gets into our eyes, it goes right into our brain. Something through your eyes is like a direct into the optic nerve, and it's right into your brain. And so it's really good that we have extra glutathione in our eyes. And so glutathione is actually good for people with glaucoma, people that are thinking about cataracts, those kinds of things. Glutathione can be effective in helping modulate cataract production as it grows over time. But it's really good for glaucoma, helping change the pressure in your eyes and modulating that pressure. So it's really good for that. So our skin, our eyes, our lungs, so we breathe things in. COVID, COVID. You know, the thing we learned about COVID is actually spent some time in your oral cavity first, then went down into your lungs. And so when we're taking this product, we want something that gets into the lungs, and about 25% of our glutathione is in our lungs. So we want to make sure that's optimized. And, you know, we're prepared for flu season or whatever is coming up. And then our liver. So 50% of our glutathione is in our liver. So with this product, we've really tried to cover all of those bases and replace that 1 gram. So we actually have about 1.1 gram of product in the Lonicera Longevity to help replace the glutathione that your body uses every day. So there, I know I dumped a lot on you, Al. I really get excited about this because it actually saved my life years ago. But you might have some questions. If you have some questions, or somebody has some questions, we could try to answer them.
Well, it definitely saved my life as far as we're concerned. So and thank you. You know, that was very I guess educational, and I appreciated that. You know, for me being a scientist, it's interesting. I don't know about anybody else, but I sure appreciated you know, some of that science and how it works for us, and then it gives me more confidence in now that we're, you know, in the Lonicera Longevity and using it, because it has so many benefits, not just, you know, for what I experience, but what for other people can experience as well. So
in somebody sent a question there on chat. I'll get somebody to read that. Yeah. So what I really want people to remember from tonight is this, Al. Number one, we spent a lot of time thinking this product through to cover, literally look at what's available in the marketplace and make something better. And we knew that would be better. It's not that there's anything wrong with the other products, but it's like, you know, years ago we used to drive on bias ply tires or whatever they were called. You would know that better than me.
Yeah.
But, right. And now we don't even know, they don't even exist. Right. You would never do that anymore. So, you know, it's sort of that with glutathione. There's the research from 1978 to 1996 is good research, but you know, we're many years beyond that, and we understand way more about how glutathione is utilized, how it's made, how it's captured, where it's stored, all of those things. So when you have that information, well, then, you know, our job was to take that all into account. So we've made a product that we feel is superior because we've spent the time on that and added the other ingredients. So people, I just want people to remember, they're not scientists. I'm the scientist, and fortunately you are. Just remember that we've done a lot of work on this. They can go look at anything that I've said up on the National Health Database. They'll find it there. It does work. It's easy to take, and it's safe for everybody. So it's safe for it's safe for dogs if you have a dog. It's safe for kids. It's safe for adults. It's safe for everybody. We have a do not harm policy on all the Medexus products. So when we look at that, there's no additives, there's no fillers, there's no things in there that are sort of, you know, product things that would cause concern for people. So they're getting raw ingredients that their body can use. So anyway, somebody's asked it. Do you have the question? Oh, hi there.
The question was asked, is the whey protein okay? I'm sorry. The question was asked, is the whey protein okay for people who are lactose intolerant? And then what is the best way to take this, morning or night, with and without food?
Perfect. So the whey protein has had the lactose removed from it. We don't use whey protein in our product. We actually use amino acid supplements, so isolates. We use amino acids in particular doses, because that's the other thing about the manufacture of glutathione in our body is those amino acids have to be in certain ratios for the trigger molecule to work. So we use them in a particular ratio. And the whey protein has a lot of other amino acids, which are good, but it has very little of the cysteine. So we wanted to focus specifically on glutathione production. So, but the whey protein isolates that are on the market, whoever makes them, the lactose has been stripped out of that for people that are lactose intolerant. That's one of the things we wanted to get past, is if we could take the amino acids that are specific to glutathione, we don't have to worry about any of these other reactions to the product.
Alan, so
Yep.
what do you mean by dual form glutathione? So what, that's a terminology we've given longevity. So what exactly is dual form glutathione?
So in the other protein isolate product, they use selenium as the trigger molecule, and you only need small amounts of selenium. But in our diet, generally, we get a significant amount of selenium. So just to make sure, we used liposomal glutathione, because if it's used in small amounts, so it's actual glutathione that we're using, if it's used in small amounts, it actually triggers the enzymes to take up the amino acids that we're providing in the capsule. So we just have a small amount of actual active glutathione. So you get that actually has activity in your blood right away. We use a small amount of that, but because every cell in your body can produce glutathione, that glutathione is there actually as a trigger molecule for using the amino acids to produce glutathione in your cells.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I saw there was another question there. I guess, Christian, I'm going to have to rely on you to read them.
Will this product interfere with other medications? And then there's still the when do you take this product, morning, night, or with or without?
Oh, yeah. So great. Thanks, Christian. So when you take this product, you can take it with food or without food. It's actually food, so you can take it with or without. Anything that has amino acids, I like to take with food with a little bit of fat. And the reason I like to do that is amino acids are more easily absorbed in our body if they're isolates. They're more easily absorbed in our body if there's a little fat in our intestinal tract. So I'm not talking about, a big steak. So if you get up in the morning and you have like an egg, something that has a little bit of fat in it, that will help with the absorption. It's not required though. So if you get up in the morning, you take the 2 capsules of Lonicera Longevity on an empty stomach, it's going to be fine. You're going to absorb it. And but I like to do it with food. Most of the supplements I actually take with food, unless there's a specific reason not to. And then the next question was,
interfere with other medications?
Oh yeah, so that's one of the things that's a great question. Whoever asked that, thank you for asking that question. So in the early research, that was one of the real concerns in the early research of glutathione. If we optimize glutathione, what's that going to do to medications? Well, it turns out that when you optimize glutathione, you're actually helping your body get rid of the metabolites or the leftover parts. So let's say you take an ibuprofen. So that ibuprofen goes into your body and it acts on a specific pain pathway, and it blocks that pathway. So it's actually called the COX-2 pathway. It doesn't really matter, but it blocks that pathway so that the signal for pain can't now reach where in your body. So it doesn't reach you still have the pain, but you're not perceiving it in your brain. So we're really blocking that pathway from sending the signal to your brain and back. So you go, oh man, my knee is aching or my foot's aching. We're just blocking that signal. And so then once it's in the blood, it has to go to the liver, and then it has to be taken apart and then excreted from the body. So that period. So if you take an ibuprofen, you're going to get some activity within 20 to 30 minutes. It's going to get into the blood. It's going to block that pain signal. After about an hour and a half or 2 hours or so, then it's gone throughout the bloodstream, and it's now collecting in the liver. And as it collects in the liver doesn't re-excrete it out into your blood, which is why you need to take more. You have to take it, every 4 or 6 hours or whatever. It collects in the liver, and then the liver has to get rid of that. It's glutathione that actually enables your liver to make that process happen in your liver. So glutathione does not affect any medications that we know of. Optimizing glutathione has never been shown to interfere with medication. There's one exception to that, and there's always got to be an exception. I'll give you that. But for everybody out there, if you're taking pain medications, heart medications, diabetes, there is no interaction with Lonicera Longevity. As a matter of fact, it will help your body to, you'll probably get better effect from those medicines if you're taking them. Now, the one exception is if you take IV glutathione, which none of you are doing, and we're not giving, that's not our, not what we're doing, but if people are taking IV glutathione, along with there's only two cancer medications, the glutathione will actually deconstruct. So these are cancer medications. People have probably heard of immunotherapy in cancer, where they take your antibody and they attach cancer drug to it, and then they re-inject it into your body. If you do that with glutathione will go, that doesn't belong here. We'll take that apart. So that's just really, really rare. But if somebody goes and looks up glutathione, they'll see that there is a cautionary note with cancer therapy. So I just want people to know, first of all, it's two therapies. It's very rare. It's specific cancers of specific organs, and like for instance, your prostate. So it's very specific cancer therapy that they're doing, and glutathione would interrupt that. So the audience we're talking here tonight, that wouldn't affect, I don't think, anybody that's here. So glutathione, the Lonicera Longevity, once again, it's good for kids. It's good for people as they go through life, and it's specifically good for people as they get older, because it will help with cognition. Great questions. Those are great questions. So just briefly, I know the people that are on here, they came to hear your story, Al, and it's a great story, and I'm glad that you've got the results. That was thrilling to me. It's always thrilling to me when somebody that, you recommend something to somebody and it actually works for them. That's a big thrill to me. And I had another, a big thrill today. I was talking to someone, they have a 4-year-old, and this 4-year-old is nonverbal. So people that in that arena would know what that means. Their child is on a spectrum, nonverbal, and they started their child, and after 4 months of optimizing glutathione, that child began to make eye contact and has actually, with a speech therapist, begun to speak words. So I just heard that just this evening before I came on here. I'm connected to the BC Children's Hospital here, and I was talking to one of the nurses from there, and she was telling me this story. And once again, it was sort of like this family was kind of a last resort, optimizing glutathione, because it's not medical procedure, right? It's not medical protocol, but they were open to it. Her doctor was open to it, and it's always exciting for me when I have recommend something and I know that they're going to have a positive effect. Another lady down in Oregon, she's a really good friend, known her for years. She's really struggled with her glaucoma, and got her optimizing her glutathione, and she told me just a couple of weeks ago that she has not had to take her glaucoma drops for some time with her doctor's help. Like, all of this is, through her doctor. We don't hide anything from anybody. We just tell them what we're doing. And her doctor said, well, you can try. And so she has gone off her glaucoma drops, and it's been about 2 months now that she hasn't needed to use the drops. Her pressures are very good. So glutathione has worked in that case. So at Modexus, we have this philosophy. We have a suite of products. Behind that is philosophy of do no harm. And I'm just going to wrap up with this because we've been quite a while here. But I'm just going to wrap up. We have a men's product called Cadence. We have a women's product called Rhythm. Those are hormone modulating products. So as we go through life, our hormones, and lots of people deal with hormone issues, and they're very difficult to deal with. We made these products are simple, once again, just all active ingredients for men to modulate, help increase their testosterone, keep it high, for women to modulate the estrogen progesterone production. And if they're on hormone replacement therapy, they can also use these products. They will actually get more testosterone, and they'll get more estrogen if they do. And then we have a great pain reliever called Relieve. It's an all-natural pain reliever, which you can use to replace ibuprofen. We have a product called a nootropic, and that is a new word to you. You'll hear more about nootropics in the future because nootropics are actually things we use for the brain. And you have to have a fancy, science always has to have a fancy name for stuff. They just can't say, oh, this is brain stuff. Have to call it something, complicated. So people, anyway, nootropics, it's called Lift. And that's a great product. If you're someone who needs a lift during the day to get through the day, it's a great product for that. And then we have a product if you're, somebody that has you go home from work and the traffic gets to you, we have a product called Tranquility, and you can take a couple of those before you drive home from work, and they will help with that. So, and recently we came out with, which I think is just a absolute game changer type of product. It's called Probio Balance. It's manufactured here in Canada, and this is a product that is just I just love this product. This product is meant for people that are having challenges with cholesterol, and that could include people that are on statin drugs. They could be on a statin drug and they still are not satisfied, or their doctor's not satisfied with the range that their cholesterol's in. So this product is scientifically designed to modulate cholesterol in the intestinal. So it actually helps with lipid metabolism in the intestinal tract and in the liver. And by doing that, it prevents the accumulation of what's called low density lipoproteins, or the damaging lipoproteins in your blood. And it actually then allows the body to increase its production of what's called high density, or because they have an H, actually heart healthy fats, lipoproteins in the body. So you get an increase in good, healthy fats, and you get a reduction in the ones that can unfortunately cause damage to us. In addition to that, it's a probiotic, so it will help with digestion issues. And it's only been on the market now for about a month, and I've heard back from lots of people about, gee whiz, I heard today from a lady who has a child who's autistic, hasn't eaten meat in a long time, and actually in this last week has eaten chicken 3 times. And that's because Probio Balance has helped with the microflora in the intestinal tract, and there's no irritation from the meat. So that's one of the first things we see from this product, is we see a great effect on the gastrointestinal system, where you get a reduction in GERD, bloating, gas, discomfort. And lots of people as they get older, well, I can't eat salads, I don't eat as much meat, and that's really a challenge. As you get older, we need more protein as we get older, and unfortunately lots of people can't eat the protein, but this product will allow people to actually do that. So that's just great. So Kristen, I think there's another question asked there.
Can this supplement be taken with cholesterol medication?
Absolutely, yes. As a matter of fact, that's a great question. Thank you for asking it. We have Health Canada claims that say that it can be an adjunct therapy. So adjunct means additional. It can be an adjunct therapy, so it can be safely used with statin medications or other heart medications. Yes. That's a great question. It has 3 ingredients in it. So it has the probiotic, which is in a specific strain in a specific dose, which we got from, that was information from the manufacturer. You only need this much of this specific strain of Lactobacillus plantarum to help do the lipid metabolism in the gut and help with the liver. Then it's got some plant product in it, plant sterols and stanols. And once again, we could do a whole seminar on plant material, which has a direct impact on like your immune function, respiratory system. There's a lot of things plant sterols do for us. And then it has ashwagandha. And I think a lot of people have heard or maybe even familiar with ashwagandha because it's a very good antioxidant. It's very good for inflammation in our body. So it's a great product. In cardiovascular, what you want to reduce the risk of a cardiovascular accident, you definitely want to reduce inflammation in the cardiovascular system. If there's no inflammation, it's very unlikely, or it dramatically reduces the risk of cardiovascular accidents. So Probio Balance, just a super product. It's only been available like a month. And so far, we're just getting tremendous reports back on that product, on what it's doing for people. So we have kids, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, and 8-year-old. These kids that are eating stuff that they never ate before, and then I have a friend who's 70 and couldn't eat meat, and now is eating steak and really enjoying getting that protein. And like I say, as we get older, we actually need more protein. As a matter of fact, when I was back in 2013, 2014, I was at St. Paul's Hospital here in Vancouver, and many of the nighttime admissions of elderly people were attributed, they would fall down or they would faint or something like that, and then come in. And that was one of the questions we asked: how much protein you've eaten today? And quite often they would say, well, I had an egg. So very limited protein. We need to keep our protein intake up as we get older. So that's something people want to be aware of. And with Probio Balance, you can eat maybe some things you haven't eaten for a while, and that will certainly help you feel better. All right.
Thank you, Alan.
Well, thank you, Al. It's great to see you. Great to do this. I'm grateful to Christian's in the background, reading our questions and recording this, so we can spin this up as a video that we can get out to people. I know there's many people who, you announce a meeting and people have a busy schedule, so there's people that wouldn't be here tonight and that we'd like to get this information out to, and we encourage people to share this information. I have a philosophy, Al, that if you and you can correct me, but you're an engineer, so you might have a very similar one. But if you give people the right education, then they will make the right decision for themselves. But it all stems from, let's give them good education. I mean, I feel like my role here is to educate people and then let them make the decision. We've got a good suite of products, but let them make the decision based on the education, and ask the questions. Ask us any question you want. We're happy to answer it. So thank you for being on tonight, and